Welcome back to SpaceX Extreme Mode with your host Lord Couture, or LK for short, and let's get right back into it. If you remember last time we had a bit of a iron crisis. Well, as you can see now, my little fix at the end of our last episode has basically resolved that. All we did, if you recall, was change these to passive providers rather than active providers, and now there is pretty much no iron ore sitting in chests all over the space. We do, however, have a small problem in that this little 242 is struggling to be sufficient by itself, plus the aid of a highly depleted ore field to supply sufficient for our, well, basically 8 lanes of belt to the starter base. 9, in fact, if you count this one, which I mean, basically the ore here, we've got one that is destroyed completely by the copper feeding into the first of our green, and then this one is drawn heavily on to supply these parts of the green circuits to give us our 4 lanes of green. It's still more or less, I think it's just normal transport belt here, so we haven't actually gone through and updated it all. It seems to be holding out sufficiently for a starter base whose primary function is modules and just idling on the science. We seem to be supplying 20 science labs just fine, and obviously, I mean, we could probably increase this, but it's sort of pointless putting too much effort into a base that is not the long-term base. It is simply build everything from down here, and also modules, and also a tiny bit of science. So yeah, let's move on to something a little bit more interesting. Over here I have my requester train, which I would give a shout out to Gepwin for his excellent tutorials on the circuit network, and basically this is based on one of his designs. Simply we use the green line to receive a request, such as this is our how I was using it just before for a well, before last episode actually, for a sort of track laying train. I can change these numbers at will. It really doesn't matter. I probably should have turned this off. What does that do? Does that do anything nasty? No, that's all good. If I wish to fill this train up to use for track laying, I simply have to turn this one on, and it will send a signal through, and it will load the train up. In fact, let's do that just so we can see it in action. So that has broadcast this as a request on the network. We can see it. So the idea is not to just do it locally like this, but to do it remotely to help us build our base and our outposts. And we can have very specialized ones, because we're not reliant on a particular fit out. We can have whatever fit out we want, and we can create that fit out from a remote location in our base. So this will be very, very helpful. But as you can see, what's happening here is basically this is a memory cell storing the request. It gets split into 4, so basically a quarter of the request is in each one of these requester chests, and there's a little bit of rounding arithmetic to make that work. Filters to say only put in what's part of our request, and we slowly count down the contents of the memory cell until it's all over, which it looks like it is, and at that point there should be a signal coming out this way to say that we can go. Is that the case? Are we actually done? I think we are. That's got a G signal. What's going on over here? Might have to check to see if this is actually working. Don't do signals on... I mean, there's nowhere where the train is intended to head. But anyway, it looks like it's filled up with our request. That's the contents of our train. That's the contents of the request, so all's good. Let us just go to manual mode and proceed and see if we can set up a proper outpost to use this. Well, not so much an outpost actually, it's part of just building the main base at this point. I laid this earlier using this train in this sort of engineering capacity, and over here, if you look at the mini-map, is where I want to set up oil processing. So I must have a radar in this area, that's convenient. So yeah, I want to make oil processing happen here, mainly because there's this water mass, so I have quite a lot of access to water, which is hugely necessary. Very close is this massive 12,000% field. There's another field here which is possibly going to be in the way of the main base, possibly almost for sure in the way of the main base, although I might be able to set it up so that train lines sort of wrap around it. But yeah, so it seems like a reasonable place, and we can have a line sort of come through here, somewhere like that, probably, to feed plastic to the red circuits and sulfuric acid to the blue circuit processing. So anyway, let's get out of that mode, come down a little bit further perhaps. What I want to do is set up a supply, outpost supply base, and then we can start testing. Let's just clear out some of these trees, they're kind of in the way. Check out how good the Mark II robo ports are, which is what we're running now. Got 4 of them, so that's all good. Can't insert raw wood. Well, that's one of the advantages of this design. We can just throw it in here. Auto trash. Oh, it's not auto trashing, that would be why we're having issues. Let's make it auto trash. But yes, we can just throw it in the train, and when the train returns to base for some other purpose, the first step, which I didn't actually go into before, was a let's empty the train. So it kind of doubles as a trash train. It won't, it's not, its purpose isn't to be a trash train, and we will actually have a separate trash train. But yeah, it's fine to do that. This is pretty good actually. It's quite a lot better than what I was doing just before. These marked for removal. Yeah, it's quite impressive. The new portable roboports. So let's just throw some wood in one of these. Whoops. I've picked up a whole lot of stuff I probably didn't want. We can put some back. We don't need all of these. That as well, perhaps. How did I get all this stuff? Who knows? Wood can definitely go in there. Just get rid of a little bit of the wood from my inventory. Don't need those, don't need those. Probably don't need that, or that, or that. There you go, train, you can have the wood. Right, so we want just a simple station. I haven't set up a blueprint for this yet. This is not the normal size train that I'll be using. I'll be using 383s, as I think I mentioned in the last episode, but for now, let's just have a simple one-line feed coming from here. That can be accessed from either direction. Oops. There we go. So if you're coming this way, you can go there. I should actually, yeah, let's just make it go everywhere. Track, go there. Let's jam you in, right. So just a very simple exit and some chain signals so that nothing untoward happens. This one needs one. Chain, yeah, you'd be going that way. Are we happy? We should have one in there. And that's probably just about happy enough. Let's grab a quick blueprint of that. Although I probably purpose. So let's use train station. And S for single. That will do. Okay, let's pop down this new whatever we want to call it, exit that we've created. Just make sure we've got enough room for the train, and we would appear to, so that will do fine. We can have a station here. This can be called, I'm just going to call it outpost supply, because I'm going to use that term for requesting stuff here in the future. And in fact, what I might do is tell this train, after you've gone to supply, you then go to outpost supply until inventory empty, and we'll send it to supply unload, and goodbye. Now, what I want is to A, get power, but B, let's plonk down something to show we mean business. We want the green signal because that's how we send requests in the space, via the green wire. Let's start with a combinator. We're going to use this to request things, basically to help us build oil processing. I haven't worked out what those things are yet, and it doesn't matter because I can change them on the fly. So all we really need here is a means to send a one tick pulse down the line based on whatever we set up here. So to do that, you generally use a good question. What do you use? You use an arithmetic, don't you? And you multiply each by -1. And then let's get some power into this area. The idea is that you have one color from here to the back end, so that there's no feedback between the two, and one color that skips the processing and then goes out to your network. So if we were to say request something like let's say have, well, I know I probably don't have enough at the moment, but not say 125 of those. We're going to need a ton of pipe, maybe 400 pipe to ground. We are probably going to need some assembly machines. And there's probably a few things that I'm not actually building at the moment, which is going to cause me some drama. But I know I am building chemical plants, so let's get a couple of hundred of them for now. We need some power poles. Let's say 200 of those, 100 of these. Let's make sure we always have some green wire and some red wire, and just get some combinators because you know they're going to come in handy. Power switches too. Who knows? Programmables. I'm not sure if I'm building them. I probably am. So if that's going to be our request, as soon as we turn that on, it should have done something good, but it doesn't look like it has. Right. And we're a very long way away from the base to find out what's going on. But we can have a look at our train. What is it doing at the moment? Absolutely. Oh, I know. There is no connection along here, so yes, I'm a dummy. Alright, let's turn that off. Let us force the train to come to us. It'll be obvious to you as soon as I've got the train back here, when we go back, what I'm talking about. But yeah, basically I know for a fact that I haven't connected up the green wire all the way up to the outpost supply base, so this request fell on deaf ears, but that is all fine. Where's our train? Be here in a moment. Thanks, train. Okay. No. You can go manual. Jump on board and off we go. Just because I'm doing a crazy challenge does not mean that I'm foolproof at playing the game by any stretch of the imagination. Right. And right here, this is where we have no connection and where we need the connection. The wires only go this far. So, let us run wire from here. Say to there. Is that going to be possible to make a connection? Yes, it is. Okay. Now let's connect that with green wire. Too far. I'll try this again. Let's go straight to supply. once we're up here, we will tell us to go back to outpost supply. Now, I mean, obviously there's only one of these outpost supply stations at the moment, but the intention is to have a multitude of them wherever we need to do building, really. And we will activate and deactivate them according to whether there is demand. But let's just get the basics working first. Right, off you go. Now, it shouldn't matter that that train's on its way back, but if we turn this on now, there you go. So there is a demand request out there. What should happen is the train should go back into its, well, it'll empty anything out that it's carrying first of all, which should prove to be basically nothing. It should then move up here, and we should have some furious activity, which there does appear to be. If we come back to here, you should see something counting down, but it is not. Oh yes, there we go. You can see yeah, items counting down as they're put on board the train. When all of these have been loaded onto the train will come back to us and should wait until we have unloaded it all, which we haven't set up yet. We can set that up while we wait. Which side do I want? This doesn't matter. Not really, I guess. And yeah, might as well unload as quickly as possible. Let's get some power. How are we going? Frozen on something. Yeah, it's probably building a few things for us. It's taking some time. So while we wait, let us do some gardening, I guess. Or maybe some planning even, how we want to work this. I can't build a radar, or do I have one? How are we going? We're getting there. If one thing's a bit slow, then that will kind of when it doesn't really have a smart way of knowing that, you know, it's being held up by one item, but there's other items that it's good to load up. So excuse me. So that's sort of an issue, but we'll live with that issue because I'm sure this will ultimately be a highly convenient process. So welcome back. Yes, it's been about 10 minutes and I can confirm that everything has worked according to plan. I actually put the train into manual mode so you could see it come, but everything's finished up here. The train is on its way. And aside from a few teething issues in that we weren't making copper back at the, well, we were making copper, but we weren't putting it into the network for the red wire to be built. Everything was otherwise going according to plan, and there you go, and off it goes. So we now have all of the stuff that we needed. And we can now do a local request for whatever we want as soon as we set up some sort of network here. So thanks for watching, looking forward to seeing you next time, and that's all. Cheers.